Hey guys, welcome to another episode of All Bass Creations Effects Tutorials, Demos, and Review. Today, we'll be going through this ToneX centered pedal board pretty much. And it's just this one up top. It's just the one up top. There is a pedal board down bottom on the floor here, but we're not going through that right now. That's literally most of my stuff that stays in my studio. If I have in a gig where it requires any of these pedals, then I would bring it, But this is my main gigging board here up top, and as you can see, it is quite a bit of effects packed into a very small space. But it's probably one of the most flexible additions of or variations, whatever you want to call it, of my pedal board I've ever been able to build, especially with the addition of these miniature pedals that have been coming out lately. Things like the Electro-Harmonix Freeze, the Spectra Comp, and the ToneX 1. And I'm running that ToneX 1 stereo, by the way. And we're going to talk about that too, how to run your ToneX 1 stereo. And pretty much, there's a way you run it. Pretty much, people not realizing that the input and output on that ToneX 1 has a stereo in and a stereo out. You just need a TRS cable, right? So not just a regular standard instrument cable, because that's a mono signal. You need a TRS cable. So let me see. I think I got. So it'll look, the tip of it will look like this. If y'all can see that. But it'll have the double ring compared to these instrument cable ones. You see it only has one, right? So that's how you would be able to tell the difference between the two. But you need pretty much something that you need a Y cable, a TRS adapter on TRS on one side to two separate mono channels. So back here, I actually have two of them. I'll have to get up and show you guys in a minute. I'll show you. Or I might do a separate video about that, because it's a few ways. I want to give you guys a few different tips on how to do that. So, but the whole pedal board, basically, just understand I'm running that stereo, and I kind of told you the way I'm doing it at the moment. But you can get one TRS to two mono instrument cable, 1/4 inches. You can get have one going in and run stereo into it, and then you can run stereo out of it as well, same way. So, there's a few different ways you can set a pedal board up like this. And as you can see, having something like those miniature pedals definitely saves a lot of space. So, as you can see, I have a Hog 2 down here on the floor, this really big silver pedal, and I love it to death. They don't really sell them too much. Sometimes they have them, sometimes they don't. They're difficult to find sometimes. So I don't like to take that out the house. That's more of something for my records. I like to make sure I have that available for my sounds, for studio, for my own personal recordings or other people's stuff, just various things I might need it for. But I love the way it sounds and the features. So I can't get all the features of it in any other pedal, especially these smaller pedals. So, I use something like the Poly Blue, this, in conjunction with, or I can use the OC5. Either way, either one of these octave pedals. And I use this Electro Harmonics Deep Freeze pedal to do a lot of the freezing. And right now I have it on automatic mode, so I don't even have to press it. If I want it to sustain infinitely, it can do that as well. But I got it set to have a little bit of decay to it and a little bit of glissando. And they just pack so much into that little pedal. It allowed me to get a lot of the features from the expression mode on the Hog 2 down here, which is the things like freeze and glissando, freeze and volume if I wanted it. It's just so many variations I can have with that little pedal. And, the additional feature that the Hog 2 doesn't have of the layers. If I want to do layers, I can do that too. So, but I want, it's not you can watch the deep freeze. I have reviews on pretty much all of these pedals at this point, so you can watch reviews on all of them. And if you want more in-depth explanation of how to use them or what they do, so that'll be available as well. So let's continue. So let me just explain what's going on here. So everything's coming into this T-tone three-way looper switch, pretty much. So what this does, this is a passive one. So it doesn't require power necessarily unless you want these LED lights to work. So I do have to have some power. I do have a power running to it so I can tell when the loops are on and off. Because you will literally, without the light, sometimes it gets tricky. So I would just rather just go ahead and have a power slot for it, and it doesn't have to be the fanciest power slot, you know what I'm saying? You can, if you got a extra mower or something, like them little power bricks and little mower power bricks, that'll do you fine for stuff like this or an expression pedal, things that don't really affect the sound too much. This is pretty much passive. The only thing that power is running is these LED lights, so it's not gonna affect your sound with the power on or off. So right now, as you see, the entire loop's on, which is, that is quiet. That's pretty quiet there. So yeah, that's a pretty complex sound, even from this little pedal board here. And one of the things I do, so I got my first loop here, and this just separates my board into 3 different parts, really 4. So I come in here, and if all these are bypassed, I come straight out of here, straight into the Spectracomp here. and then into the ToneX one. So effectively, I'm bypassing all of everything except for and just running the Spectracomp and the ToneX one by themselves when all of these are off. So turn the ToneX one on. And this one, these amps you're hearing on the ToneX one right now, they're gonna be available to you. All these tone models you're gonna be able to buy from me. You know what I'm saying? They're going. I'm in the process of completing them. You know, a nice pack of them. You know, and you know, you guys let me know what you would like to hear. You know, how you like your. You'll even be able to, if I have the gear already, you'll be able to do requests, and that only costs you an extra couple bucks more. You'll be able to do requests of, you know, the preamps or mixing of different things, you know, or alterations of one you might have bought already. You might want, you know, can you do me the exact same thing with this EQ setup, or with this in addition to it, you know, this preamp into this preamp, you know, you know, you'll be able to do all of that stuff. So which is going to give you a little bit of freedom too, you know, to not just take a pack like everybody else is giving you, but you'll be able to customize it a little bit, you know, if you wanted to, and, you know, it just costs you a little bit more. But we'll talk about that. You know, make sure you subscribe, like, and share so you can know when I'm coming out with this stuff, you know. I don't want you to be left behind. You know what I'm saying? You can take this ToneX pedal and a Spectracomp and go crazy, first off. Let's just talk about that. Hey. This is pretty much an Ampeg Venture head running into a Fender Bassman Neo. And it's mic'd up with a condenser mic on a tweeter and a sub kick mic on a, you know, on the 115, because it's 115 with a tweeter. Here we go. You know, that nice clear sound. You know, you get plenty of highs in there. You can also use it for jazz, walking bass lines. You can use it for finger style. It's a really versatile sound there. You know, and that's just literally me doing EQ. That's the actual setting, no EQ done to it. Um, and that's just me. There's no post EQ being done to it either. And only thing that's running into it is the spectral comp. Is a little bit of compression, and you can see where that's set at. That's not set up high or nothing. Um, and you also heard it without it, so you know it definitely that's a one setting. Then we got a Magellan running into the 115, the Fender Bassman 115, with a little verb on there too, just to add the room feel. Here's it by itself without the spectral comp. So you can get a great. I always loved the Jens Ben sound before they were Gensler, and I still love the Gensler sound as well. Like it's still fire, you know. And mind you, that's just the ToneX pedal. It does have a compressor on there as well. You know, you can activate as well. So, yep. Let me move on because I get stuck here with this. This Tone X1 joint is fire, guy. I'm trying to tell you guys, check it out. And like I said, these sounds will be yours too. You know, those are just two of them. You know, you'll be able to grab those too. But you know, and you ain't even got to buy the stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just the cabinet. That cabinet by itself was, if you buy it brand new, 800. You know, you gotta gear ain't cheap. You know what I'm saying? And so the Tone X1 is not just allowing you. This is where it really shines. It's not just allowing you to have whatever they have provided for you. You get that and anything you can put in there yourself, or anything you can buy from third party people like myself, who make models and things like that. You know, mine. I mean, it takes some time to make these joints. You know, it take a lot of little experimentation, just figuring out where I can make sure I get you guys the best tones. You know, I wouldn't want to just make some tone models and then throw them out there for you guys. I want to make sure that these are sound the way I would use them, even without you making any adjustments in terms of the EQ and things like that. I'm not doing the presets where it has like noise gate and compressor and reverb already on there. You can adjust that stuff yourself. That is really preferential. But I'm making sure that the sound itself is the way we need it to be. So let's finish going through this pedalboard. So as you can see, like I said, everything is kind of built around that ToneX and the way it allows me to have different amp models. So even this positioning, you know, this is something you got to pay attention to when you're building a pedalboard. Even the position of it, I know I need to get to that USB port, which is right there in the back of it, which is this, which is running to the computer when I need it to. So I instantly, no matter where I am, if I have my pedal board and I need to use the audio interface, I can just run an audio interface right from it very easily. I can just plug that in, bam, instant audio interface. So, and then the spectral comp is generally, I turn that on and off at times, depending on what I'm doing. So, you know, because I use different amounts of compression based on the sound. As you can hear, I use pads and all that other stuff. And I do entire loops where, You know, it's a ton of different. It literally sounds like an entire band. You know, and I get as close to the instruments through bass as possible. So check out my All Bass Creation album, by the way. But first loop, green loop, is Poly Blue, OC5, Deep Freeze, and the Zoom MS60B. Right? So that is the first loop. And then it's back in here. So it comes out of here, goes to here, goes to here, here, back into here. Right? And that's the first effects loop. So pretty much, yep. And then you get sounds like that. You know, and for chordal things, you know, you can use this for, if you, depends on which one you have or which one you think is, you know, useful to you. Why is this warm? Whatever. But yeah. So sorry about that, guys. You know, you gotta check on your equipment. I did had I had the thing open, the blinds open behind it, so the sun probably warmed it up a bit. But yeah, so we got our first loop, and we have our first multi effects unit right there. Um, the MS60B. So as you can see, I have two multi effects units on here, but they're not running into each other right this second. You know, so they on different effects loops, but they just sitting next to each other. So that's the confusing part. If you're not used to looking at pedal boards, it's not always in order. Sometimes you gotta fit pedals where you can, and you just gotta run. You'd be better off just running an extra wire to connect them than trying to, you know, it's like Tetris. Just think about it as a game of Tetris, you know. So these smaller pedals, I actually used to have these. If you down bottom, I used to have these three preamps. As you can see, they're sizable. They take up quite a bit of space. I used to have those on there. So because I was able to model those and have those same settings and sounds in the ToneX one, it allowed me to get keep those in the studio, because those are analog, and you know, I love the way they sound. Especially for studio work, you know, I would want to have those available. But live, I don't necessarily have to have that exact. You know, I mean, it is the exact sound. Now that's the crazy part. It actually spot on. You know, and those settings will be available for you guys as well. So, you know, if you don't want to have a bunch of preamps, or you know, you don't feel like buying a bunch, you'll be able to get 4 different preamps from me of various settings. And you know, stuff like the Ampeg has various voicings to it. You know, it also has the B15 and the SVT voicing. So those are additional things, tone models. You know, but let's keep going. So first one, second one is going to be from here. It runs into the key 9. So this one, key 9, mel 9, the MXR bass analog filter, and the MXH, I mean EXH electro harmonics blurs analog modulated filter. So, and that pretty much just has its own. The Blurst has its own. The difference between the Blurst and the MXR is the MXR is based on your dynamics. So. So basically, depending on how you have the sensitivity knob, and how hard you play, the sound will change. If you have the sensitivity knob all the way down, it won't change much. But if you have it all the way up, then it's really sensitive. So, but the dynamics is what controls that, compared to the blurs is based on a set time parameter. So I can either do a top tempo on here, or I can control it using external foot external foot switch, like a expression pedal, something like that, and it allowed me to use the filter manually, and like a wah-wah pedal, or like it is now. So it's a set time that the filter already opens and closes. So you can use that to your advantage on like filters and things. You can have it sweep slowly. Like you heard in the beginning, it was on the beginning portion of the video. And it really allows for you to, not have to manually do that, and you don't have to time it. If you have it, you can have it set to a quarter note, dotted eighth, or a triplet. So you can actually have it set to different rhythmic values, and bam, you're right there. So moving that comes back into the pedal, right? So, quick key 9. One of my favorite sounds on there is like the mallet sound. So you got that as well. And you got the runs into the Mel 9 as well. So it's again it's Key 9, Mel 9, MXR bass filter, and blurs. So you got four different effects there, but that's all on one loop. So as you can see, I'm pretty much breaking the pedal board up into different parts. So this is one, all this here to here is one part. And then all of this is one part. And then last, this, let me get the Mel 9 real quick. I'm going to use this in conjunction with the deep freeze. So, that's also, that has plenty of settings there too. Other settings than that. That was the strings setting on there. And of course, I can get that a lot smoother with some delay and reverb, which is what we're coming to next in the MS50G. So this last loop, this blue loop here, is the Zoom MS50G running into the Digitech Jam Man Solo XT. And one thing about those Jam Man XT pedals, those are amazing. They have when you add a SD card, they give you a great amount of storage. They give you plenty of loop time, but they also allow you to sync up with another Jam Man Solo XT if you wanted to. So if you can find two of them, because they don't sell them anymore, unfortunately. You can actually sync those up with a I think it's a TRS cable. I think it might be just a eighth inch TRS cable. So, but it's fine. And of course, what the looper does, you can easily, let me see if I can find an open patch here. See what this time signatures. Yep, it's in there. I don't know why I can't loop today. I'm watching. In other words, I'm messing up. I forgot y'all not everybody not from Maryland, DC. See, this is when you used to doing it with your feet. I'm over here trying to do it with my hands. This is why I can't remember what's going on. This is definitely something I normally, this is normally when I'm gigging and I'm looping, I don't really loop too much with my hands. I pretty much have these set up where I'm sitting a little lower than the pedal board so I can't see the screen displayed the way I really would like to, like standing over it. But here we go. Let's just say that there. just this pedal board. Ran mono into the ToneX one, but I'm running stereo from the output of the ToneX one to the interface, and that's what you're hearing overall. So and that is a stereo looper, and it is the MS50G is stereo as well. So at some point, I'm probably going to I've been trying to debate. I kind of want the Spectra comp. I kind of want to be able to run stereo directly into the ToneX one, but the dilemma I run into is that the Spectra comp doesn't. I might just put that at the beginning of the chain somewhere. I think that'll solve the problem. Just put it at the beginning of the chain, use it from the beginning, and then use the built-in compressor on the ToneX one. This will probably solve that problem. But if I run a stereo, I can't run the Spectra comp into both of them, both left and right channels, because of where it is in the chain. It's right before the ToneX one right now. So maybe putting it at the beginning of the chain, and yes, it's going to run through all the other effects. I hate that. I hate that. You always got to compromise one way or another. Especially on a smaller board like this. It's hard to have every single thing that you want all the time. So, but the reason I want the looper I want the looper to run stereo, but I also run my keyboard sometimes through my looper when I'm doing live shows and playing keyboard and bass for my solo stuff. So I don't, and I'm looping some of those keyboard parts on there, but I don't really have to do that for my solo gigs. I mean, that's if I'm doubling, You can't get paid, you know what I'm saying? You want 2 checks, you got to have 2 cases in the place, you know what I'm saying? That's the only way you doubling, you know what I'm saying? And that pays more. This is being honest. Like, this how you make a little extra. If you just simply by having it there, having a keyboard there, I can charge more because I have to play the keyboard. And that is a separate skill. Like, that's somebody else. It's also cheaper to just have me do all of it than to hire a guitar player and a keyboard player and a drummer. And, it's cheaper to just, if you're doing a solo gig. So for them, it's cheaper for them, but it's a higher pay for me. So it's like it's a good balance for the whoever's getting contracted and the person that's contracting them. You can easily negotiate a little bit more. Say if they wanted a duo, I can do a duo by myself. I mean, you don't have to pay twice as much the money. You're going to pay a little bit or a lot, but it's going to cost you a little bit. It's going to cost you a lot, but it's going to cost you something. God makes some money, you know what I'm saying? But back to the pedal board. This is like the most extremely flexible bass pedal board I've run across in a really long time. I really did take some time and really think about what I was doing, putting it together. And it really is based around all 3 of these little miniature pedals, because those allow me to save a ton of space. So that was instantly 3 pedals where I knew I can have really great features. And like this deep freeze is smaller than the original freeze and does way more. It's smaller than the Super Ego as well. So it's like, but it has all the abilities I want from that pedal. I don't need a Super Ego Plus, to be honest, because I can put modulations right here in the MS60B, right? I got all my modulations and stuff right here. So I got 4 slots here. And that's the other thing. Even though it's an abbreviated pedal board, I have 10 slots between these 2 pedals right here. 6 here and 4 here. If I need modulations, bit crushers, ring modulation, reverb, chords, delays, special effects synth, bass synths, I got all that stuff in there. Even amp models, additional amp models if I want them, but I don't want them. Like I use amp models from the MS50G when I'm using like that. Like I use that Marshall sound for the. You know, and it's also a slot I don't have to take up on the ToneX one, using having a guitar amp in there that I'm only going to use for solo stuff. I can do all that on the MS50G, and I also have slots A through Z. So you know what I'm saying, like, and on the MS60B, I also have slots A through Z that I can fill up and just simply press the pedal. Only thing is, you can't with your feet. You can't just go back. You can't go back. You can only go forwards in the alphabet. So that's a little drawback, but you know, if you can easily bypass that by pressing the middle button and scrolling down the menu, and you can easily get to it faster that way with your hands. But you know, so I only keep my most important tones there. You know, even with the MS50G, like some of those I'm about to get some of those presets I'm about to take off of my fast, I call it, I don't know what they would call it, but I guess your quick selection menu, you know, because you got your overall preset menu, and then you can assign each of those presets to an alphabet and a letter in the alphabet rather. But remember, if you got 20 presets, you got to click all the way through those 20 presets to get back to the top of the list. And at the top of my list is my clean sound, which, you know, so I could go straight through to the looper. So I'm going to take some of those off. So, you know, certain ones that are kind of redundant or similar, you know, I'm going to take off. You know, I only need the Marshall sound. I don't need the other overdrive sound. I don't even use it that much. I use the Marshall one. So it's like making decisions like that is the only compromise, but I can always switch that. That's why I love the multi-effects units on the board. You got to have multi-effects units on the board, man, these days. Something. You know, I know a lot of people like to have the HX Stomp, but hey, you can get these two pedals and you're going to get way more effects and way more amp models, and you can hack them and get all the delay. And they actually released them all because I guess they was like, hey, they're already hacking it. But you can pretty much, you know, get one of these if you can find one of these older ones, and it'll have all types of effects already on it. You know, that's also a bonus, and those are only two of those would be way less than a Helix or way less than an HX Stomp. You know, and you can still have two separate signal paths. You can split out of anywhere. So if I wanted to split out of here before it went to the bass amp, I could. You know, this also goes to stereo. This is goes mono to stereo as well. It's another out. If I wanted to take a direct out from here, you know, for this pedals here, then I can do that as well. Like I said, I run extra line through my looper there when I'm running keyboard as well, and that way I can loop into the keyboard, and then I have that right side go to another amp. Like I'll take that Phil Jones amp and actually run keyboard through it, because it's a pretty flat amp, and you can set it up to where it sounds really pretty much decent on keyboard, like, you know, that, and then I got a stereo setup with the keyboard on one side and the bass coming out of another cabinet, you know. And then you got options. You know, all you're doing is creating options for yourself with this stuff. So you during your live show, you're not stuck, you know. And this is pretty much the only pedal board that I would configuration I would need on a solo gig. I got everything I need from you know, synth stuff. You know, I can build my synth stuff here. I can do all of that here. From here to here is just straight bass synth stuff. Or, you know, pads and other things with this. You can do a ton with this. This is super useful. Then the next section, I do have continue into the synth territory for my keyboard and strings and orchestral sounds. Bam. But I also have the filters on there just because I didn't have an extra I didn't have another loop. Like if I had another loop slide, I could have put those on their own separate thing. But I didn't want them to be on here and here because when I want that straight analog feel, I want to go straight from the analog and not have to go through any conversions. You know, from audio to digital back to analog to digital back to analog. You know, I don't want to have to do that, which these two you have to pretty much do when they're on. But they sound good though. They don't sound bad doing it. But I prefer that. You know, hey, you paid for the pedal. I want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear it in pristine sound at that. So, but yeah, you just bypass all of these. If you ever have a problem with a loop, you just bypass it. And yes, you can't necessarily use that loop, but that's way better than losing your whole pedal board during the show. You don't understand when something go wrong and you can't figure out where it's coming from on stage. That is the most. It makes you panic so much. You just be like, what? Click, 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 click. Ain't nobody got time to do all that. Listen, I got 3 clicks I can make, and I can easily find out where the problem is. And if it ain't one of those, that means it's either the input here or the out was going out between those 2 pedals. So, it definitely allows a lot of. Oh, this one is just a foot switch, additional foot switch for this, which allows me to tap tempo and stop. So this is start, record, and all that stuff. This is stop, and this allows me to change loops and stuff like that, go up and down, change the loops. But yeah, you know, but you can easily find the problem that way, you know, and you know, I particularly think this is probably one of the most versatile bass setups I've seen. You know, yes, I can, in a smaller medium, like I wouldn't even call this small. I would say this is like a medium pedal board, medium-sized pedal board. It's a lot smaller than the one. That's a Terra Nova, a Terra 42 down bottom. And as you can see, that's a really big pedal board down bottom. And this is the size, the one down bottom is the size of a 61 key keyboard, pretty much. That case, I can actually carry my motif in as well. is that size, right? I actually carry a motif 6 in there, same case. So it's the same exact size as a motif 6, which is crazy. But it allows you, and I love this pedal board. You know, I had this big pedal board for when I was for my solo gigs originally, but you know, I don't want to carry. It's not the size of it; it's more so the amount of money that's on there at once. Like because it's so big, it's like you put all these pedals on there, but you don't really be thinking like, there's a lot of money on here. Let me anything happened to my pedal board, I'm taking everything I got. I don't want to do that. I want to take just what I need for most gigs. Like this will get me through any gig pretty much. Like there isn't one gig I could think of that I would have that this pedal board wouldn't cover. Like even on my preamps, every amp in this room, I either have a model of it on. I pretty much have a model on the ToneX of it. All the heads, all the amp heads, I have those, so I don't need to take those. If I don't want to, I can go ampless, or I can go. I take the first 4 slots on my ToneX one, and I have like complete models of the rigs I want. Like I'm showing you guys the Venture head into the Bassman Neo, and the same thing with the Gensler Magellan head running into the Fender Bassman Neo. So these are options, guys. It gives you a ton of options. Like, and then I'm running that stereo. So like I said, I have the Y connection there, TRS to 2 single mono channels left and right. And then I also have those panned. So just so you guys got an example. Let me see. All right, that's on. Let's go with that. I'm mess around with the panning a little bit so you can hear why I would go with why I'm doing stereo. Matter of fact, I'm gonna click to yeah, I'm gonna run it into. Let's do this. This would be mono, pretty much. Stereo. And I also have a mono signal running into the pedal board on the floor is its own separate channel. Like, so I'm not having this run into this or vice versa. This is its own separate thing running into the audio interface. And the pedal board down bottom is actually running into a Zoom B6, which is running an Aguilar 410 with a tweeter IR. So this way, if I did want to theoretically run this setup and this setup in stereo, I could do that as well. I got a lot of flexibility. I like to have flexibility, bro. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. And I also have, I did have this. This cable is running into the return of the Zoom B6 on my desk, and that I would run it into here, into the Zoom MS50G, and make that stereo. And then when I wanted to run to the Zoom B6, I can have an outlet from these that I can mix in with what's going on down here. So down here is probably more dry signal. I also have a Ravis sitar and a vocoder on here. But for the most part, you see it's mostly preamps. I do have the Hog 2 down there, but this is my gigging pedal board. This is what the video is mostly about. So, you know, but I do have other options, you know, just so on the B6, I'm literally can mix the return from the pedal board. I just turn on the bit crusher up here just so you can hear the two separate sounds. So the bit crusher distorted sound is coming from here, and the clean sound is coming from down here into the B6. It's the clean sound with the analog preamps down there, you know. Yeah, I can mix that with the which is coming from up here, which is Bit Crusher and the Poly Blue into that Marshall. Let me just make this a clean sound so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. So, you know, I can have that signal and the actual signal that's running out from the rest of the board as well. So I can have the MS60B running mono, and then the ToneX One running stereo, and that way, engineers, whoever got options, I got options, they got options. I can mix things together. So you got plenty of options, because the way I set the board up, you got to set it up a certain way so it's flexible for you. You're not stuck into just there, because otherwise you got to switch cables and do this and do that all the time, and it just becomes a hassle. You want to make it as easy for you to play as possible. This little $40 looper, I got this for $40 off of Amazon. I got two of them, one down there too. That's the thing with the blue and green light right here. So it definitely, they come in handy. Those two and a good power supply is going to allow you to do this cleanly. You need good cables. I made all these cables myself. Redo this one. I don't like the way it's sitting, so I'm gonna actually find a coupler for that and use that there in place of an actual cable, and that'll be just pretty much the plug-ins together, just one big metal piece all together. But yeah, you want to make it so it's flexible, so you got your sims, and like I said, and so if you need to bail out or bypass everything, you can just bypass everything and pretty much just go straight from here to there and out. You know what I'm saying? And keep it simple if you needed to. And I'm hoping they come out with an update to allow you to, at least if they would just let you do stereo, like parallel amps with these ToneX, that would be awesome. I know they want you to buy two of them, but it's just like, if I can just do two different amp models like at the same time, that would be great. I know they don't want to do that, but it definitely not bad though. That joint, this ToneX One joint is fire, dog. Like it literally it gave me all my sounds in one place, because people don't care if it's digital or if it's analog. People, I'm just trying to tell you, they don't. You can't even tell the difference. Most musicians can't. So you're expecting people that can't tell if you're really good at music or not. Like, look at the music industry. People can't tell if people are really talented or not. You're expecting them to listen even closer and tell if you have good tone or not. Like, or if you have analog, not even good tone, because I can get amazing tone from digital stuff. I don't care if nobody. I can get some crazy, amazing stuff. And yes, it is modeled after analog gear. All of it is, but some of it sounds great. Like these Zoom units sound, their amp models sound great. The IRs in this B6 are fire. Like, and they did, I don't know what, they ran them through. They didn't just do the mics to the console. They did something else. They got a Neve on there or something. They got something on there that's adding some nice texture to it. And then I have other things on there that I'm adding texture to from that end. But from the ToneX one and between, really, I could have just you could take this Deep Freeze, this MS50G, Spectra Comp, and ToneX one, and that's a whole pedal board. Those 4 pedals, and you'll be able to do some amazing stuff. You'll be able to really do some amazing stuff. You'd have a ton of reverb and delays. Like, this thing has a ton of reverbs and delays. Like, amazing joints. I got to start using more of them myself. It's just, I try not to get caught up fiddling around with different effects as much, versus being productive and actually playing or, doing a video for you guys. I can play around with stuff on video for you guys, because, a lot of the stuff you guys it'll save you guys some time seeing some of my process of how I get to the sounds and things like that. So, but yeah, definitely check out all of these pedals. All of these are great, amazing pedals. I can vouch for. That's why they made it on the pedal board. But I just wanted to walk you guys through my new pedal board setup, and how it's going to be for a little bit. And no, I didn't get rid of my preamps. They're just all 4 of them are down here, like, but it's like I can have any of those 4 on here, or I can have that ToneX one and have that on here, have this Harkey and this Fender Bassman Neo here. I can have that TC Electronic head and in that cabinet. I can have that little double 4 if I do have a model that double 4. I can have my Ampeg BA 210 V2 head, because I love that BA series head, and I have that modeled on there too. I have all of that stuff on there already, so I can just flip through settings, and it makes your life a lot easier. And you only really need 3 amp model. What bass player? What do you need more than 3 amps for in a show? You really don't. Like, that's just being excessive, because in real life, you wouldn't carry around 3 amps. So I got 20 different variations of amps in there, so that's good enough for any gig. Like, any set list, you don't need a brand new bass sound for every single song. Like, that's ridiculous. But you can if you want to with this pedal board. If you design it like this and put it together like this, and I could be a lot better with my cabling and stuff, but I changed my pedal board so much, man. Like, tying them down and making it super neat, it just kind of wastes time, because I know at some point it is going to change. Like, that blurs might come off of there just so I can make that section a little bit neater and easier to, just because this key 9 is hanging a little bit off the board. So I probably take that blurst off just because of the size of it. But it's kind of hard to. I like it a lot. And I've been wanting to, but I think I might take that off and move over the rest of that, and then that would allow me to just simply have a simpler layout there. But it won't have that blur sound. That blur filter is fire. it's like it can emulate almost like a chorus type sound at times too. So it's just I love the way it sounds. Like has such a creamy texture to it, analog texture. Like that this is I prefer analog filters. If we're gonna go analog anything like, and I have to have analog, it'll probably be filters. Preamps I really do. Now if you want the ultimate sound, like going ampless, you do want to go with an analog preamp into an IR. That just simply gets the right at the moment the best sound, like and feel as a musician. But like the tone models are so close. Like I haven't played that tone model and thought, oh, I need to go back to my analog preamps. I've not been like, I have a model of them in there, and when I play it, it sounds just like it, and it is very close. And it's so awesome when you can go in a venue or something that has a back line already, and then you just plug up right to the amp, and say I'm running into the power amp into whatever amp they have there. I can now try out different heads, different preamps to make that sound, to accommodate that sound, because sometimes different brands don't match up well, like cabinets and heads. So it's nice to have a variety of heads and amp models and all that stuff to match up with it. Or I can just bypass it altogether and just use the system. Just tell them I need a monitor here. I'm going to run through the house. And I just got to trust. I hate doing that. I hate trusting somebody that much when I'm playing. But if I don't feel like carrying nothing, depends on what the gig's paying. And that's just reality. If the gig's paying, enough, then I'm willing to carry more. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to carry so much money around with this stuff. It's not that I don't want to bring my effects and stuff, because a lot of people, they'll hire me and they'll request that I bring my effects and stuff because they see videos or they like, which is fine. But I gotta, mitigate that. Sometimes I'm just taking my Zoom B6. Like it's times where this is not even going. The Zoom B6 is going. Like it's times for that as well, because it's just more economic. Like if you want me to leave it overnight, like I'm working a theater gig for a while, I'm just taking the B6 and leaving it. And that's way better than me leaving this. You know what I'm saying? You can calculate that. Like the Zoom B6 is like $500. So the cost, it's more cost effective just to take that. Anything happen to that, they don't have to be responsible for more money. Then I don't have to lose all my pedals, all my settings from my MS60B and my MS50G. That's a hassle, boy. You lose your multi-effects pedal. You done did all this programming, boy. And, that's a hassle. Luckily, with the ToneX 1, they allow you to back it up. Like, you can back up your ToneX 1 in the software, and literally just, if you ever lose it, you already got copies of everything. And if you happen to go somewhere and grab some copies, some captures off somebody, you can come back home and transfer them to your computer. And now you got them in your computer as well. You got a backup of them. So it's the ToneX series is crazy for that, like sharing and then doing all that stuff. It's amazing. So, but that is my ToneX 1 bass stereo pedal board here. Like this is my gigging pedalboard. I love her. She's so beautiful. She's so precious. She make me sound good. But at the same time, it's not too heavy either. I don't want to do that, mess around, knock it off the keyboard stand. It's sitting on keyboard stand like no, just right on the bar with the rubber feet. Make sure that joint don't topple over. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's actually really light. It's actually way lighter than before, and it's got more effects on it, which is crazy. But make sure y'all subscribe, like, and share. Follow me for more tips and tricks. Excuse me. Hit the super thanks, you know what I'm saying, and the Cash App, $REGGIE PayneBass. And follow me on all social media, The Bass Negus, Negus. And then you can find all my music, allbasscreations.bandcamp. If you want to support buy my music, I'm going to have these tone models for sale, so make sure y'all subscribe, like and share, and that way you guys can stay up to date, and you can have all these tones right at your fingertips. You know, if you one of them simplistic people that don't want to have to fiddle with a whole bunch, like, you know, a lot of people said they are about the Line 6 Pod Express. Listen, it's ToneX 1. You get one of those, and then you get my presets. And you don't have to do none of the work. Like, and it literally takes over an hour to do each one. Like, it ain't no just like 15 minutes and then the capture. It take like an hour to do these. It take me about a little more than an hour. About an hour and a half, actually. So, hour and a half. Depends on how my computer feel like acting that day. But I'll check you guys out, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for hanging with me. Peace.